Here we go. Okay, so this week we're going to be discussing the topic, what it's like to run a business as a creative. So we've got with us today Mario, myself Terry, and we've got Katy, all incumbent here at Mill Street as creatives. So who's going to kick us off? Because I'm not.
Oh, I am I? So running a business as a creative. Well, I mean, from my own journey, I don't know about you guys, but I started working for myself as a freelancer, and then that moved into thinking, this is kind of limited. I'm going to have to think about being an actual business owner, and sort of making a sort of rocky transition into that.
Were you working for other people before you?
So before freelance, yeah. So
Yeah.
studio jobs, then went freelance, and then thought, because I kind of got to studio and thought, I can do this. I got account handlers used to upset me, and I just thought I can do that myself. And then so went freelance, and then realised it's not quite the same. You know, you're kind of stuck as a freelancer just doing the work. And so I realised, okay, I need to start thinking like a business owner.
So just to clarify, when you went freelance, were you freelancing for other agencies, or were you? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Because you can be a freelance for other agencies, or you
Sure.
can freelance as a self-employed.
Yeah, a bit of both, but it ended up, I think, because I started freelancing, it ended up being in 4 agencies.
Right.
And then after that, trying to get freelance as 4 direct clients as well. But yeah, mixed what results with that. But and I realised the thing is you have to behave like a business owner if you want to find work, and that's a whole different thing.
I'm just discovering this.
It's a
25 years in, I'm
really,
just discovering you've got to act as a business owner.
You have to just treat it differently, and that's the thing that we're talking about, isn't it? As a creative, you want to be creative, but if you're going to sell creative work, you have to be a salesperson, basically. If you run a business, it's a lot about sales, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's mostly about sales, actually, is what I'm understanding from my coach, Kevin Riley. Plug.
I've been thinking about it recently, because my first year of business was sort of just coasting, going, I see what happens, I hope that I get some jobs, and I hope that they keep coming in rather than just stopping.
Yeah.
And then I got to the end of that year, and I was doing I'm thinking in that. I was doing what was I saying? I was doing a mentoring scheme with the Creative Futures here throughout my first year, and then that sort of came to an end, and then I didn't know what to do next, and I hopped onto another scheme, which was with the Chamber of Commerce. And I think because I'd had that year of experience of figuring out what I like, what I don't like, what works, what doesn't work, I was in a better position to start making real goals and actually thinking ahead for my business, because before I was just, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Whereas now I'm thinking, I want to grow. What do I want my business to look like in 5 years? Maybe I have employees. Maybe my business becomes a limited company rather than just a sole trader at the moment. So I'm learning to work on the business, not just in it, which has been really helpful.
The problem is with that, it's the typical scenario where somebody is good at what they do, so they're a designer, a baker, whatever they might be, they're really good at what they do, they go out and start doing it for themselves. But because you're working on the business, in the business rather, producing, you don't have the time to step back, because if you do step back, there's no one to do the work. So it's a catch-22 situation. We all know, and I'm in the same boat, we all know that we have to move away from the design side to run the business and to do the sales and all the bits and pieces behind the nice bit, but we don't do it. And I've got there's a team of 5 of us now, and I'm still reticent to pull back because I love designing. But I know I've got to do it.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and then within a week I was back designing again. But it's completely and utterly a classic situation that we all find. But you've got no choice at the moment because you're on your own. But once that team is in place, then you've got to do it.
Find the different.
But learning how to run that business is vital. And coaching's good. I can highly recommend Anu Khanna to actually coach.
I'm interested in what you said, because you said you're only just learning that because you've been going for longer than
you're dissing Anu now, are you? I see.
No, I don't mean that. I mean you know, you've been going for quite a long time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Running an actual business.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not been you as a freelancer.
No, but it's kind of hand to mouth, isn't it? So when I started, I was working for agencies, worked for several agencies, and then I got to a point, I'm going to do this on my own. And I took some clients, set up on my own, worked from home, and it just went from there. And it wasn't it must have been 5 or 6 years before I employed somebody. I thought, I just can't do all this, and took someone on. But I was still working, and it's only now that I'm actually thinking I should step back from the creative role and do more business development. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's inherent in every designer. That's what we do, isn't it?
Did you have other people around you then doing all the other roles, like
I did,
getting leads and sales and all that stuff?
No, never had that. That was all sort of organic. It came in via word of mouth, website, etc., etc.,
Right.
and still does, really. And part of the idea going forward is to spend more time and money on, you know, investing that into going and getting new clients.
Right.
But I can't do that and be sitting designing brochures and logos. I can't do it, because if you said to me, do you want to design this logo for the next 3 hours, or do you want to sit on a phone and try and go and get more work? I'm gonna plump for the easy option, because that's what I'm good at, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard, but without doing that, your business isn't going to grow unless you employ someone to go and do it for you.
Yeah. So do you think? Sorry,
It's okay.
Do you think then that it's harder for creatives because it's kind of nice work that we love doing? It's harder. Do you think it's harder than, because every business owner has the same problem, don't they? They all love doing what they do, and then they have to turn into
unless they studied business and they are business people,
right,
like through and through. But I think as a creative, it's about finding a balance.
Yeah.
Because I can work on the business for 2 hours a week. I've set time aside,
30
put
seconds.
it in my diary to like say that's my 2 hours to do my social media marketing or business planning or whatever it needs to be, and then it's done for the week. And as long as I stick to that, some weeks I'm a lot busier than others, so it kind of, when you're not as busy, then you make time for it. But other people set like days away, so they go, right, I'm gonna do my planning for the year, and I'm gonna go and book a meeting room, and I'm gonna do it in the day, and then they get it over with. And then other people do a little bit every day.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a blend of everything, because
Both.
if you get rid of, as a creative person, if you get rid of all of those creative things, you're not going to want to run your business anymore. So
You're moving away
You're
from
gonna
what you
end up
love
hating
into
it.
something that you don't really want to do.
Yeah. Unless you get to the point where you've had enough of it and you're happy selling it and giving other people work.
I quite like the idea of being a creative director, just, you know,
Yeah.
flaunting around the room and going, I'll just
don't like
do that in blue and change that font. I could do that.
Yeah.
I
That's
still
what
get
I'm thinking.
yeah. But
But that's going back to what you said, is what we were talking about, this core values index. So there's a local lady here who did this core values index with me, and basically what they do is you answer a load of questions and they tell you what you have capacity for, basically. So of all the tasks, you know, the sort of technical, mathematical tasks, the creative tasks, there's 4 different categories, and it tells you, you know, what kind of person you are, and which one you have more capacity and which one gives you energy. So for me, creative was much, you know, many more hours there, and, you know, the kind of number crunching and all that stuff, you know, 1 or 2 hours a day or something max. But it's really interesting because you see yourself, because you know when you're sat there and you're having to do this stuff and it's soul destroying, and you just think, oh god, when you have something like that, it just reminds you that actually you're better off doing all this other stuff. If there's got to be loads of the number crunching, just get someone else to do it.
Delegate.
I'm a firm believer in that. You know, if you don't enjoy doing something, you should get someone that does. You know, I don't want to do accounts. So I have a lady that does that for me. I don't want to mow my lawn, so I have someone that does that for me. Yeah. It's like, it's just, life's too short. You should enjoy yourself.
But then when it comes down to being an owner, you've kind of, especially when you're starting, you've got to do all of this.
Jack of all trades, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can't afford to pay someone to do it all.
No, of course you can't.
Moment,
that sounds really bad, just saying, I'll just get someone to pay for it. I don't mean like that. I mean, yeah, sure, when you start off, you've got to do it. You've got no choice. Yeah. But it soon became very apparent with me that me and invoicing and accounts were not going to... Literally, I would take a Tesco carry bag, other supermarkets are available, full of receipts and stuff, and I'd take them to my accountant and just, there you go, do your accountancy thing. And they'd look at me like, oh God. And after 2 years of doing this, I was sat with my accountant at the end of the year, and she said, I've got somebody I'd like you to meet, Terry. I said, oh, who's that? And this lady walked in and said, this is Susan. I said, oh, hi Susan. She said, Susan does your accounts. I said, oh right. She said, Susan doesn't like you very much. I went,
that's quite common.
And she went, what? I said, you keep bringing things in carrier bags. It's so disorganised. Why haven't you got folders? Why haven't you got this? Why haven't you got that? And because I didn't know you wanted it like that. And I turned around to my accountant and said, well, actually, this is your fault. Classic. Straight back at it. This is your fault. When I became your client, you should have said, this is what we want. In fact, you could have even gone, here's a nice branded folder from us, and here are your indexes. You put your invoices in here, and these are in and outs, and your receipts go in here. Give them to us like this, and it'll make our life easier, and it'll keep you organised. But they didn't.
Did you charge them for your consultancy fee?
I should have, shouldn't I? I was angling for the branded folders and stuff. I could do those for you. But I mean, I don't do it now. I'm still bad at it. I still, my bookkeeper's constantly phoning me, you got a receipt for this, got a receipt for that. Just, it's not the way my brain works. It doesn't want to work that way, and I keep trying to force it into doing it. Just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, interesting. So where are you at with it?
So I do everything myself, pretty much. But I sort of set time aside, like if I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I will do that. I'm going to do an hour of the finances,
right?
And then I'm going to leave it, and I'll come back to it if I need more time. Because if I then sit down for 3 hours looking at a spreadsheet with numbers on, my brain's going to melt. So I have to.
Do you feel then, can you recognise when you do something and you actually get energy from it?
Yeah.
Do you recognise the difference?
And the opposite of that is I can feel it sapping my life force.
And the opposite.
And it's usually numbers.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing with creatives, isn't it? As a creative, you want to do all the nice stuff, and that creatives don't want to be, held back and pressed into a space. Whereas numbers make you do that. There's a finite answer. Mm-hmm. Whereas with, creative writing or design or whatever, the world's your oyster. You can do what you want. It's a blank page. Whereas 1 and 1 make 2, and we don't like that. 1 and 1.
Yeah, I guess it's the exploration, isn't it? It's the pushing out of ideas rather than the nailing down of facts.
But I was appalling at maths at school.
Were you?
I took my maths O level 3 times, failed. Ended up with a GCSE.
You were good at maths. Didn't you get A's at everything?
Oh, swatty pants.
I was good at maths, but I really struggled with it. But I had a really good teacher who explained it.
Right.
I don't remember much.
There's no such thing as a bad pupil, only a bad teacher. That's what it's saying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was good at maths and I did physics. So
I like physics.
It was weird for me because I had creative mind and an analytical mind, so it's quite unusual.
I like the science side, just don't like figures. Yeah. Although I have discovered if you put a pound sign in front of things, I quite like that.
And I'm quite good at that. Numbers.
Yeah, I like those numbers. I'm quite good at those. I can add those up and take them away. But
so it's I think it's interesting because for me, I kind of traverse both worlds.
Yeah.
But I prefer, get more energized by creating and exploring creative ideas. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Have you done astrology, anything like that? Somebody told me astrology. Yeah. She told me that they told me you were kind of born with all these very practical skills, but it's not interesting for you in this life. You've got to grow all your kind of other side of your skills, emotional.
So I'll be good at
skills.
maths when I'm dead.
So he says you
And
can
living on
use it
Pluto.
all. You can use it all, but it's not interesting for you. So you have to use this life to explore the other side.
Who told you that?
Astrologer.
Oh,
He said something
That's
about
the,
moon in something and a sun in something.
Like Capricorn.
Yeah. It's really
Scorpio.
interesting because it kind of made me think, yeah, that's actually right. I do feel like that. Thanks for confirming. I'm not doing maths.
Do you believe in that astrology?
It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not.
It's a good explanation.
But the thing was, for me, it resonated with how I felt. But you know, when you force yourself to do stuff because you think you have to,
Yeah.
it's like, it's kind of good to know that actually you don't need to, because for me, I have to. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was brought up Catholic. But for me, I sort of force myself to do things that I don't always enjoy. So you know,
Well, that's life, isn't
so
it?
a lot of people just don't bother. Like you said, I'm not interested. So
Well, I did it for a period, but the moment I could afford to get someone to do it for me, that's your job. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like a weight off your mind. I used to hate it, and I know so many other people in business, and they put the accounts and stuff off until your tax return is due tomorrow, and they go, oh, I've got to get my tax return. Rather than do like you do, like an hour a week, just keep on top of it. Happy days. But no, we don't do it. Same with homework. I bet you probably didn't. I did. I'd be at home like, oh God, I've got something to go into, scribble it, lying in bed, finishing my homework.
Did you?
I don't do that with clients though. Funnily enough, I can't wait to get. No, seriously.
Just saying that.
You like what you do.
Exactly, and that just proves it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No sooner am I off the phone taking a brief, I'm on the Mac going, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And you're away. I love that, and sometimes I even start working on stuff before they've even told me to start working on it. I get so excited about it.
That's the thing about being a business owner, though. It's so kind of has to be so disciplined, doesn't it? Because all those boxes have to be ticked all the time. I find it, like there's so much discipline involved. Like, okay, fine, you get a brief, and my brain goes the same. It starts thinking. Yeah. But actually, there might be something that should be done before that.
Like pause. We need to get a quote.
Set up your files. Put it on your system.
And I just wanted to have.
But I think like that's what's nice about being creative. Like, we can run a business and we can make sure that we're following all the things we need to do to an extent. Sometimes we might not do everything we need to do, but still allow ourselves to be that creative person. And if you get a brief in and your ideas go wild, do something with it and then come back to the business. But like, don't go too far. Don't like go down the rabbit hole.
You have to get the ideas out, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like, So basically, then, don't give up your creative powers.
I think if you
money.
Well, I think if you're truly creative, you never will. You'll never give them up. I keep trying it every few months. I try it, and
because you're still working
back on the Mac again. I can't help it. I don't know if it's habit or it's just a comfort zone or what it is, but I guess I'm kind of in a slightly different position to you guys at the moment, because I do have the capacity, so I could come back. But then there's a guilt thing as well. So if I then come off the Macs and stop designing, then I feel guilty, because then my guy's going and girl, and they're going, he doesn't do anything. He's produced no work this month. And that makes me feel guilty, because I know I used to have a boss many years ago, who will remain nameless, who we all thought was a right chump. He wasn't a designer, he was a business person. Yeah. And we were all working away and grafting away, and he sat down, as far as we were concerned, doing absolutely nothing. And we hated it. We hated him for it. And he was driving around in a Ferrari, and he had a plane and all the trappings that we had created. But in actual fact, he was doing all the stuff that we hate doing. Yeah. So actually, he gave us the opportunity to do that and paid us very well, I have to say. But you don't see that as an employee, and do you think that's a common perception with employees? I really do. Have you been an employee since you left college?
Yes, but not as a designer.
Right. I think it's quite a common perception, isn't it?
Yeah, they think, they they do nothing. They just sit there and they just
It's like, what do art
rake the money
directors
in.
really do?
Yeah, well, yeah, 8 art directors. I did play at art director once back at my old office. There was a couple of months where I just used to float around the office pointing and going, well, different, wrong colour, wrong. And everybody, I'm pretty sure everyone hated him. Oh God, he's back again. There was a guy I used to work for. It was my second ever job, and it was a big architects practice based in Warwick, and they had an architects department, they had a residential, they had a commercial arm, then they had an interiors and a graphic design.
Wow.
All under one roof, so we could do everything. We were doing shopping centres and all sorts of stuff. It was great, as a new sort of to the industry designer. And we had this this guy who was head of the design department. He was ex-Conran. He was part French, and he would sit in his office all day. You wouldn't see him, and then the door would open, and there'd be this plume of smoke would emanate from his office door.
Proper old school.
Oh yeah, Gauloise. And he would come out and he would waft out. It's like, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be a creative director. And bearing in mind, he was an interior designer, and he used to come over and was on the drawing boards at the time. And he'd come over with his cigarette and go, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he'd be like tapping his ash all over your drawing. He'd go, "Oh no, do this here, do that there, do this, do this, do this. No, this is all wrong."
Really?
And he'd like, "No, this is not right," like this. And then he'd disappear, and you'd go, and he'd close his door, and he'd be gone for the rest of the day. And I'd turn around to my boss and go, he goes, "Oh, ignore him. He doesn't understand. He's an interior designer." But he would come out, do his 10 penneth, and then he would disappear back into his smoke hole, and that was it. That's what he did.
Great life. Sounds
It
good.
was.
Can I get a job like that? So?
Yeah.
I crashed his Golf GTI.
You crashed it for him.
Yeah, I crashed it.
Well, as a payback.
He went on holiday and the battery was flat, so I said, the AA came, jump started it, and they said it needs to go on a run. So I'll take it. And I was only 23. Golf GTI, can you imagine? 23, back in the day, back in the 80s.
Oh dear.
And off I went. And an American tourist pulled out of a side road in Warwick. He was looking the wrong way because he's American, and he just T-boned me. And I got it back to the office. I'm like,
oh, it wasn't.
I'm gonna get but he didn't see it that way.
No.
He didn't see it that way.
Why
was he driving my car? Well, he was actually doing you a favour. He was so young to be driving a car like this. I was like, oh,
Was it from a Disney movie?
yeah, it was. I thought I was gonna get sacked. But
So the moral of the story is become an art director, because then you get to be creative and you don't have to run the business.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't have to do all the monkey work.
biggest
Yeah.
DOS in the world, I reckon.
So,
I might try next week.
Are you looking for art directors in your company?
No, I'm going to be it. I'm going to be my own art director. See how long I last at that.
Yeah, so that's that then. The moral of the story is either be an art director, but don't give up your creative skills for your owner goals.
Yeah.
Balance your energy nice.
There you go.
Yeah, I like that.